Hello everybody, and welcome to my Fourboysandanlgirl podcast. My name is Patty, and if you can hear noise in the background, it's because I am taping this on the 28th of October, which is a Saturday, and my boys are home, currently entertained with electronic devices in the basement. However, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be interrupted. I am coming to you from the beautiful province of Newfoundland and Labrador, which is on the extreme east coast of Canada. I live on close to one of the most easterly points in North America, and on the island of Newfoundland. We are having beautiful, beautiful, beautiful fall weather here. It's been warm. It was 18 degrees 2 days ago. We've had warm temperatures. We've had slightly cool fallish temperatures. We've had one, maybe two frosts, but back up to double digits during the day. It's been absolutely gorgeous fall so far, so we're really enjoying that. And I'd like to welcome you all here today. If you're a new viewer, then welcome. I hope you enjoy seeing the podcast and what I have to talk about today. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. Speaking of returning viewers and viewers in general, I missed my PODIVERSARY. I missed celebrating my PODIVERSARY, which it turns out was back in September. And I'm really sorry about that. I had hoped to have a celebratory PODIVERSARY podcast, and I would have wine and balloons and everything, but if I keep waiting for getting around to planning that, then I'll never have a PODIVERSARY giveaway, and everybody likes a good giveaway, so that's what I wanted to talk to you about. So I am going to have two giveaways. I'm going to have a contest for celebrating my PODIVERSARY and to thank you. I wish I had presents that I could give to all 450 odd of you, of my subscribers, and hopefully more. But I can't even believe that I have that many subscribers. When I started this a little over a year ago, I really felt like I was sitting down to talk to myself, and the fact that I've had such wonderful interaction with people. I've gone to Ireland to meet some of my podcast viewers. I have been going to virtual knit nights and doing knitting with friends on FaceTime, and it's been absolutely wonderful. I'm meeting people from all over the world, and I never take this wonderful community for granted. It has been an absolute light for me, a highlight of my life, and I hope that other people have the opportunity to enjoy it like I have by either starting a podcast or getting very involved with this wonderful creative making community that I've become a part of. So for the giveaway, I am going to have a thread underneath. I want to do it two ways. I want to have one of the giveaways is going to be on YouTube here, so just leave a comment down at the bottom and tell me one of your favorite things about fall. That's all you need to do, just comment, and I will pull a prize winner from the comments on YouTube. And then on Instagram, because I'm on Instagram a lot of my followers comment on my posts on Instagram and such. So I'm also going to post a prize giveaway on Instagram. So when I do that, keep an eye out for it. And when you see it, just make a comment about what you love about fall, and tag a friend, or two or three, as many friends as you want to tag. That'll gain you more entries. So I just want to show you a couple of things that I'm going to be giving away. I don't have the whole prize packages together yet, but one of the things that I'm going to be giving away, there's going to be a skein of yarn or a ball of yarn, one for each of the prizes. The first one I want to show you is this. Hi guys, I'm back. I had a 3-day interruption. It is now Monday, the 30th of October. Sorry about that. It has been a crazy weekend. I got interrupted in my podcast on Saturday when I was trying to tape, and I've been busy sewing up Halloween costumes and getting makeup ready. If you're on Instagram, you would have seen some of the gross zombie makeup that I did on one of my boys to practice. So it's been crazy. So I want to get back to what I was talking about, and that was my giveaway. As I said, there's going to be a draw on Instagram, on my Instagram account, and I want you to share that as much as possible. I'll put up a picture of some of the prize incentives. Hello, Angel. Angel doesn't usually come up for the podcast. It's usually Bella. Anyway, Angel's here today, and I'm probably going to get fur in my mouth. So there's going to be a draw on Instagram, and there's going to be a draw from comments at the end of this post, this podcast episode, so make sure that you comment down below. I love comments. I really appreciate them. It sometimes takes me ages to respond to you, but I will get back to you eventually. So I think last time I was just about to show you one of the 2 yarns that I'm going to have for prizes. This one is it's a Regia Season Color. It is color 09413. It's one of the Christmas colors. And here it is. This is going to knit up into a gorgeous pair of socks. Now, I'm hoping that's going to focus so you can see the pattern of the socks, but it might not. Of course, this is made in Germany. Here is that beautiful, beautiful self-patterning Christmas yarn. So that's one of them. The other one is from a dyer in Ireland that is near and dear to my heart, because when you're a podcaster, you don't expect things to come in the mail for free, but it's been my fortune this year that I've received several presents in the mail from wonderful, wonderful fellow podcasters and from viewers, which I really appreciate. And one of my very most special viewers, his name is Catherine. Hi, Catherine, who's in Ireland, who organizes Atlantic Knitscape. And one of the first encounters that I had with Catherine, oh, I got cat hair up my nose. One of my first encounters that I had with Catherine was when she sent me a beautiful package, and in that package was the yarn that I used to knit this shawl. So this is the Close to You shawl by Lettuce Knits, and it's knit in the colorway Wild Atlantic by Strand Designs Ireland. I am going to, a skein of this yarn will also be going out for a prize. So I also have some other things. There is a little bit of some sweet treats, some tea, probably stitch markers. I haven't decided yet, but there's going to be a bunch of goodies in those prize packages. So when I get them up, and I will post them on Instagram, and I'll also my next, I'm not sure my next episode. If I tape an episode in the next few days, I will keep this up for a week. So it's now Monday. Next Monday, I will close the draw, and I will try to in the next day or two have some pictures up posted so that you can see some of the wonderful things that are going to be in those prize packages. Hello, Angel. You're going to come here and visit us when we're doing a podcast today? Angel is really cuddly, but only on her terms. So just then, because I picked her up, she didn't want to have anything else to do with me. If I had let her do her thing, she would have stayed up for ages. Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit scattered and all over the place today. First of all, before I forget, there are 2 important things I need to mention. One is that I am doing a fall make-along with my lovely friend Lynn. Hi, Lynn, from the Sunshine and Bubblegum podcast. And we are working on this make-along until the 15th of November, so the deadline is coming soon. We've got a few, not very many finished objects in Lynn's finished object thread at the Sunshine and Bubblegum Ravelry group, because that's where you need to post. There's a few more posts in my chatter thread on the Fourboysandanlgirl podcast group on Ravelry. I'll put those links, should have been at the beginning of the podcast. So we need more entries. So keep making, keep finishing. This is a make-along with all the crafty things that you're doing. It doesn't have to be knitting or crocheting. It can be quilting, card making, painting. It can be making a Halloween costume. So you get extra points if your finished object is somewhat fall related. Other than that, we want as many people as possible to. So I got the name of the KAL wrong. It's actually the Canada-wide Canadian Afghan Pillow Knit-Along. And it's taking one of the squares from the A Canadian Afghan A book, which you really need to check out. It's absolutely cool. And the idea is on the pillow, it's when you knit it, the pattern on the pillow comes out into the word A-E-H, which is a Canadian saying. Not so much in Newfoundland and Labrador, but it certainly is for the rest of Canada. This is, as many podcasters across Canada as possible are getting involved. Gladys is actually the name of one of the designers, and what she has done is the book is available on Ravelry, but the pattern, and I'll put the information on the screen, the pattern is available just as a one-time one of the squares from that book. So you can get the book, or you can purchase just the square. And right now, there's a coupon code for $1 off that pattern. And the coupon code is PODCAL, P-O-D-K-A-L. Again, I'll put that on the screen. So that's for the individual PDF that's available on Ravelry for this particular knit-along. So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to start, it calls for worsted weight wool. I'm thinking of using Cascade 220. They used in their pattern, either a light gray or I think in the book it's a cream color I don't have the book, but from the pictures. So I need to get the pattern of the book. I may get the book, I'm trying to decide. And I'm going to get, I think, some Cascade 220 yarn to knit up because I would like to make a pillow, a front and the back, so a pattern on the front and the back. And I'm kind of leaning towards doing the Canada flag block, which means I would need the book. So anyway, I'm thinking about that. So Carolyn and Adrian and Louise, thank you so much for inviting me to take part in this knit-along. It begins December 1st, and I'll be providing a prize for that knit-along at the end of February. And you can also double dip into the prize pool with Fiber Friends podcast because they're also going to have a prize draw for this knit-along. So as information comes and as we get closer to the date, I'll share more information with you on that knit-along. I'm so excited, yay! The other things I wanted to share with you today, I want to share with you one finished object and my work in progress. The finished object is the Tin Can Knits Barley Hat. It's knit out of Caron cakes and the pom-poms made out of just a generic white red heart yarn. So here's the barley hat. This is knit at a newborn or a baby infant size. I think it turned out really cute. So here's the garter stitch pattern. And then that is just one panel of garter stitch and the rest is in stocking stitch. And I think the way that the Caron cake gradiated the colors is really cute. And look at that pom-pom. Yes, it is as soft and fluffy as it looks. I bought a pom-pom kit at Michael's with a 50% off coupon. My camera died again. I'm starting to feel that this particular podcast episode is cursed because the camera died on me the other day when I was trying to podcast, and so far it has cut off on me twice this morning. So we'll see how we go. I noticed when I took the last video, the cat is over there clawing, that I didn't really show, you couldn't really see the gradient. So hopefully by holding the hat a little bit lower, you can see the orange at the top, the two toned yellows, and then the kind of rusty red at the bottom, and of course the beautiful, beautiful pom-pom. The other thing that I wanted to show you is my work in progress, which is a blanket, and this is a bit of deja vu because I've already taped this. I thought I did, and then realized that the camera wasn't actually taping. So this is the baby hat, was my quick and satisfying project that went with that goes with this baby blanket. I want to show you it in its entirety. Hopefully you can see all that. So you can see that now we have, or I have, sorry, the royal we there. I have 4 defined squares. These are Caron cakes using Rainbow Sherbet and Rainbow Sprinkles are the 2 colorways. And then I'm using that Red Heart Soft white yarn which goes in between. I have this. I am casting off this border. I'm using a stretchy bind off on the border, which I neglected to do on one of these ends, and that certainly made a difference, so I'll be doing that from now on. But what I don't like is you can see on the back here, you can see where I joined the border and where I picked up stitches, and I really don't like that. So what I'm considering doing, and if anybody out there has done this before and has any suggestions for me, I'd really appreciate it. I'm thinking about putting a piece of flannel on the back and tying it with embroidery thread to the front and then sewing it right along the edge all the way around. So that's my thought right now. If you have any thoughts on that or any experience doing that, I would love to hear it because I'm a little nervous about I mean, it's not a big deal. I'll use embroidery thread and I'll do a corner or so, and if it doesn't work out, then I won't do that. But I'm really hoping that I can because, like I said, I don't like the way the back of this blanket looks. And I'm not going to knit an entire back to attach. That's not going to happen. Now, I do want, this blanket is already cozy and warm, but putting flannel on the back, which will make it a little bit cozier, is not a bad thing because this is going to my gorgeous little niece, Kate, who lives in northern Labrador, and it gets extremely cold there, so having an extra warm blanket in the winter is not going to be a bad thing. And if my brother and sister-in-law are watching this, don't tell little baby Kate that she's getting a present. I don't think they watch, so I think I'm fine. The only other thing that I wanted to show you, this is in Yarn Acquisitions. This is, I think, this could be a spoiler alert, but I don't think so. This is from the Cozy Knitter Yarn Club from September, and I would imagine that everybody has received theirs already, but if by some chance you have not received your September Yarn Club subscription from the Cozy Knitter, don't watch this section. So here is the beautiful Whisper colorway with a 30-gram mini, and this is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. There's 85 grams in the striped section. These are going to make a beautiful, beautiful pair of self-striping socks. I'm looking forward to casting this on. These won't be cast on for a little while, just because I'm so slow at knitting socks, but these, and I was considering my next set of socks to do a pattern, but I've got a couple self-striping, so I guess I won't be doing that yet, but it's just beautiful. Thank you, Christina, I love it. So again, that's Whisper. So maybe that'll be available sometime in the future for you to purchase, if you're not, even if you're not a club member. So that's just gorgeous. I am going to end there. You're going to see I am putting a bunch of footage in. I had a couple people who asked if I would video myself hooking, doing some rug hooking. I've done that. I'm not thrilled with the quality of how, well, it's not so much the quality of the filming, but how I had it positioned when I was filming. So I want you to have a look. If you still don't think it's clear, I'm going to put a video link down at the bottom of the screen for a lady Deanne Fitzpatrick, who is a professional rug hooker out of Amherst, Nova Scotia, though Deanne is from Newfoundland originally. And her video of how to hook rugs is much better quality than mine. However, I was asked by a couple people, I've tried to show you. If it's not what you were looking for, let me know, and I will try something different. So hopefully you like that section. I'm also going to have a little bit of footage from beautiful Salmon Cove, Newfoundland, which is in Conception Bay, North Newfoundland. So you get a little bit of Newfoundland scenery in this podcast as well. And now I have to go. I am sewing. I sewed myself a costume last night. I also worked on my son. My son is going to be a Spartan soldier, so my husband is working on his helmet, and I'm working on his body armor at the moment. So I need to get back to that, and I'll include lots of pictures on Instagram and some video for you in my next podcast. So I hope everybody gets time to be creative this week and make something that makes your heart happy. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay. I was asked by a couple of people this week to do a little blurb or a little part of my podcast on hooking rugs. And so if you're not interested in this section, just fast forward through the hooking section and get back to the nitty and other creative goodness that I'm up to on the podcast. But for those of you who are interested in seeing me hook, I'm going to try this. I will see how it goes. I wanted to give you a little bit of, information to start about what you need if you're interested in doing some Newfoundland and Labrador, not just Newfoundland and Labrador, but some traditional rug hooking. So first of all, you would start off with a hook. Let me get this stuff out of the way so you can. This is let's see if we're going to focus. Focus on my ring. Focus on the hook. Right there. Okay, so this is a rug hooking hook. You can see, if the camera will focus, it's not going to. Anyway, it has a top like a crochet hook. And case in point, if you're interested in hooking, this is an Addy 2.5, just not going to focus, is it? An Addy 2.5 crochet hook. And I use this. I've been using this for my hooking over the past few days. I like the ergonomic handle, and I find it quite comfortable for hooking. So that might be an option for you if you want to try rug hooking. Okay, so it's just the top, just like a crochet hook. The hooks come in, the shanks or the heads vary in terms of size. So this particular hook has a smaller hook on it than this one, and I like big cuts and big pieces. I like lots of texture in my hooking. So I tend to go for a hook that is a little bit larger. So I also want to show you also need a pair of scissors. I like small embroidery scissors because it, and I'll show you when I start hooking, it's great for snipping off the beginning and end of what you're hooking. And I can also use these, so you can hook with just about any kind of fiber. And let me show you some of the fiber. I've got some Brigham Little over there. So let's see. This is an acrylic. Okay, I love this acrylic. It's nice, it's got lots of texture. You can see there's lots of little bits in it that I take out when I'm hooking. This is great for doing clouds and skies or anything that's truly white. You can also use roving. So this is roving that is used just straight, it's clean. Roving that's cut from the sheep has been cleaned and carded. So I use that, and I will hook with some of that so you can see how that looks in the rug. You can use, this is wool fabric that's been cut up and it's already felted and dyed. So you can, this has been cut with a cutter. And let's see, there, focuses there. It's been cut with a cutter, which I'm not going to get into today, but this is another way of, another fabric that you can use. It's like a felted wool. This is just some traditional Brigham Little in a gorgeous hot pink. This looks great hooked up. Here's another wool, a little bit thicker. I like thick yarn because I love lots of texture. I've got some, just to show you can hook with anything. This is some sari silk that I love putting in my rugs. And last but not least, traditionally Newfoundlanders used stockings, so nylon stockings. And nowadays a lot of traditional hookers use t-shirts. So this is a piece of just a regular t-shirt that I have cut. It's most stretchy this way, least stretchy this way. So I fold it like so. See if I can do this and podcast and talk at the same time. And then I just cut up the side. Now I like this a fairly wide cut. So you would figure out about how wide you want your strip to be. And cut up the side. Let's see how this looks. So then I will hook with this. I'll show you this when I hook it up. So that's some t-shirt fabric. Next, you're going to need a backing. So traditionally burlap, flour sacks. I'm going to show you just traditional burlap. The burlap that hookers use nowadays is called it's more of an even weave burlap. It's not the burlap that you use to hang on trees at Christmas or that you can find at the dollar store. It is a bit more of a finer weave, I guess. Burlap ravels like the Dickens, so it's really helpful if you serge or do a zigzag stitch around the edges, although I'm going to show you don't always have to do that, but it is a good idea, especially for a piece that is this size. This is fairly small. Okay, now I'm going to show you how tight you need. So you can use just a regular embroidery hoop. I'm going to show you my hooking frame in a second, but you can use an embroidery hoop. So I'm just going to loosen this off, and I'm going to show you how to put this. So you fold that down. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out the best way to show you this. There we go. Get your sari silk out of the way. Put this over your embroidery hoop. Oops, wrong way. The part without the mechanism goes underneath. And then this goes on top. I need to loosen it off a bit more because it's a little bit bulky. There we go. Now, you want your burlap to be tight as a drum. So I'm going to go around this now and tighten it up. I'm going to tighten the mechanism a little bit. Then I'm going to pull it tighter again. Tighten up the mechanism. So now, pretty tight. And that's what you want. You want nice tight fabric that you're pulling your loops on. Another backing that hookers use is linen. So this hooked piece that I did, this is the way that it goes, is actually hooked on linen, which I have learned that I prefer to hook on versus the burlap, but it's a personal preference. You can also hook on a polyester called Verel, V-E-R-E-L, so that's something else that you can look for. Monk's cloth as well can be hooked on, but I haven't hooked with monk's cloth, so I won't speak to that because I don't know anything about it. So I wanted to show you this particular bit of hooking. I want to show you the back. Okay, so here's the back of my hooked piece. And this is how your hooking should look on the back. There should be spaces. You're not hooking in every single loop. You're not hooking in every single hole. There should be spaces in between, because otherwise what's going to happen if you try and hook in every single space is your hook rug is going to be really tight and it's not going to lay flat. So you need some space in between. And I also wanted to show you in this. So here's some alpaca, sari silk, roving, jersey, more roving, door wool. This is the cut wool that I showed you in the red. What else is in here? This green here, some t-shirt. This is more sari silk, more roving. So I really like a variety of fibers. I love texture, so I love variety of, this actually goes this way. I love to see this in the middle here is actually alpaca, so it's nice and soft. So that's the different kinds of fiber. So I'm just going to take a break, and when I come back I will show you a little bit of how I hook. Okay, before I start hooking, I'm actually going to work on this burlap that if you're on Instagram, you've already seen. I want to show you my frame. So this is my frame. I'm going to lift it up here. It's on a stand underneath, and this part here is the part that I actually sit on. This goes between my legs, and then I've got these gears here and this round ball that allows me to move the frame back and forth and in circles so that I can hook in the direction that I'm comfortable with. The other thing I wanted to show you on this frame is this. These are carpet tacks. So it's a strip of carpet tack, and like the embroidery hoop, I still keep my piece taut on here, but I keep it taut, hold on now, let's get this out of the way, by pulling down and stretching my burlap, as I'm using burlap in this case and not linen like my other one. Trying to use up some of my burlap. This is stretched over the carpet tack. And yeah, this hurts if you have it against your arm. You can see, this is what happens to burlap edges when you don't zigzag stitch. It really frays like the dickens, but I'm just doing a few ornaments on this. So my particular frame, I purchased this lovely, what I call a frame condom. This cover that helps protect my arms when I hook. Hopefully this is taping properly. They're nice and tight, and if it isn't, I'll have to do it again. So I've got my hook. I have my scissors for trimming the two ends of what I'm hooking with, the fiber. I'm going to get some yarn to hook with. I have some t-shirt, a little bit of roving, and the sari silk apparently is coming with me, so get that out of the way. I'm going to be hooking with some of that as well. So get this all out of the way for a minute and use the t-shirt fiber. You're going to be pulling from the bottom, so obviously you can't see my hand right now. So I hold the yarn like this. I put it right up underneath, and then I use my hook to come down and pull the loop up. So this goes under. I'm going to put my hook down there, and then I want to leave a tail about that long, say about 1.5 inches long. I'm going to skip 2 holes, and then I'm going to pull up my loop. Now everybody straighten that loop a little bit. Everybody pulls their loops at a different height. Your height is kind of your signature. And you'll find that some people pull their loops really, really high. Some people pull them really, really low. I'm about a medium puller. And I'm finding that because the burlap holes are, and you see it occasionally pulls out. So what I'm going to do is use some sari silk because this is nice and thick. I prefer thicker cuts. So, and in the green you should be able to see. So here's my end. Skip a couple holes. Now you see I'm putting my hook down and wiggling it to make a bigger hole. And then I'm pulling my silk through, put my hook down, wiggling it to make a bigger hole. That way you're not putting a whole lot of stress on the backing when you're pulling through. Sometimes it takes a little bit of work to get that through. So there you're getting a nice fabric. If you make a mistake, you just pull it out. And you can play with your hook and you can make that hole disappear if you want to. Now I don't necessarily want to because I want to, I'm going to hook a little bit actually here in my house. So I'm going to pull out some here in my house. So I'm using this, if you are interested, is a 5 cut. There are special cutters that are made for rug hooking and they have blades that cut at different widths, and the width of this one is called a 5 cut. I'm not going to get any more into that technical detail than that. So this one I'm going to hook a little bit in my house. So I'm putting in about a couple of holes away from where I've already started. I'm going to pull up, and I go with a 5 cut, I find with this wool, I'll go every 1, every 2, and sometimes I pull it out. That's all part of hooking. This is all there is to it. Hooking is not difficult or complicated. It is very therapeutic, like knitting. You don't need much to get started. You just need a bunch of t-shirts you can cut up because you do not need to use the fancy wool. This t-shirt fabric is perfectly fine for hooking. And a lot of traditional Newfoundland Labrador rugs use silk stockings actually. I have, and if I remember, I'll take a couple pictures of the ancient, I have a couple of antique rugs that, one that was, well, one's not so much antique, it's was hooked when I was an infant, so I'm not quite an antique yet. Okay, so there, just want to show you, that one's probably the right height, but when you're finished your row, you trim your ends to the same height as what you've already hooked. Then you pull up, and the hole that you just left, that last hole, I always start in that hole again, and then I keep on hooking. I really hope you can see what I'm doing here, or I'm going to have to retape this. There we go. And so if I was finished here now, I would pull this all the way up. So say I was going to change to something else, trim it front and back, and now I'm going to hook with some roving. So same thing, I put it underneath between my fingers like this and I pull it up. This roving's a bit thick, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to separate it. And you can see here, see this lovely snow that are on these houses? I made that with the roving. So I'm just going to hook some of that roving up. I usually pull some up like that and then pull it back down. Don't need to hook right, you hook next to, but not in the row right next to where I was hooking before. And I love the texture that brings. Now I'm not yet, I'm getting trained, but I'm not yet a rug hooking instructor. If you go to Deanne Fitzpatrick's website at hookingrugs.com, I'll put the information at the bottom of the screen. Deanne is an internationally acclaimed hooker. And she is her website is a great resource for courses and supplies, and she also has videos on YouTube about how to hook. So that's somewhere else I would suggest that you go. And I'm just going to, again, praying that this is actually taping properly. I'm going to take some of this yarn. Now I like to double my yarn over. This is fairly thick yarn, but I like to double my yarn over. I put it underneath. I'm going to pull a little bit high at the beginning. Then I'm going to hook. Here we go. And that is all there is to it. So you hook in a straight line, then when you're filling in, see how I mentioned I would turn this, pretend that that's my outline, because you outline first and then fill in. And then I would come back and I would fill in. There you go. And that is how I hook. I found it a little hard to see in the last video, which I'll probably still use, but I want to show you again how I'm hooking, because I think my hand was in the way for most of the other video. So this way you're going to see from the top, and hopefully you'll be able to see. So I've got my yarn. I'm still holding it like this, and I'll put that underneath. And then I'm going to pull my loop up like that. And then I'm going to skip a hole, skip a couple holes, and that's all there is to it. So then when I reach the end, oh, missed a strand there. When I miss the end of whatever I'm hooking, I'll pull this through, and with my scissors, I'll trim at the front and the back. So hopefully you can see that a little bit better than before. I'll do some silk, so you'll get to see that. So with the silk, because it's a much wider cut, much wider piece of fiber, see how I'm making a little hole there. Then I'm pulling it up. I usually use my pinky for a little bit of a brace. Pull, pull, pull. So that's just lovely. And I'm going to pull, get some of the roving that I was talking about a few minutes ago, and I'll put that in too. So here I'm pulling up the end, and then Sari silk is getting in my way, so in order, if you make a mistake, you just haul it out. Stress-free. So I'm going to pull up on the roving. And the roving's the same as any other fiber. Once I get to the, well, there's too low. Once I get to the end, the beginning, I would trim the front and the back. There you go. Now I'm going to show you a couple pictures of the antique rugs that I have. So this is one of the antique rugs that I own. This one came from my mother's side of the family, and it's a really good example of an older style rug with an older style pattern. This was likely, at least I hope it was, we think that this rug was drawn by my great-great-grandmother, or my great-grandmother. And I'm going to try and see how far in I can focus. All of this is hooked with nylon, with silk stockings. It's over 100 years old. It's got a bit of wear on the corner. I need to do a little bit of fixing on this rug. And you can see right here, there's a bare patch, but the burlap itself underneath is intact, so I can actually fill that in. It's in remarkable condition for its age, because these were used and thrown out. They weren't used, recycled whatever fabric you could find to make these. Here's the back, which is as good as the front. And you can see, I'm not sure what this is, but it looks like it may have been this one. I don't know if it's silk stocking or maybe tights. It might be tights, because it's a different weave than the, you can see here that it's just nylons. Just like the nylons we used to go to work today. With your fancy dress. Just nylons. Wonderful. And here's another rug. This one's housed in my guest room, so if you come to visit me, this is what's going to be under your feet. It's got a really traditional hit or miss pattern. Here, oops, that's just going to flicker there at the edge. Here on the edges. And really, to me, a fairly modern design in the middle with the circles. And again, it is hooked with silk stockings. Beautiful. This one's probably is almost 50 years old. So it's almost the same age as me.